It's about damn time for some college football talk. I promised you guys a college football video a couple days ago, and I've been kind of caught up with all the news and crazy things going on in baseball with the trade deadline and all. But it's time to talk college football. It's getting close. We are now in August, so that means we are a month away from meaningful college football and week one, if you will. So today, as you can see by the title of this video, I'm doing probably the most common college football video that's done every year about this time of year, and that is the Heisman Watch, and who I have right now, my top 10, as we head into the season. Now, obviously, this watch, I'm going to be honest with you guys, probably doesn't mean a damn thing. Every single year, it seems like the guy that at least is in the top three, but usually wins it, comes out of nowhere and wins this award. Last year, of course, that was Lamar Jackson of Louisville and his ridiculous numbers. So before I start with my top 10, I want to address a little bit about how I go about picking. Now, obviously, it's going to be hard to pick a guy like Lamar Jackson, and like last year, many people did not pick him, and he ends up winning. So you can't always win it. But my point in doing this top 10 is that I like to pick considering the things that the Heisman Committee takes into account. Meaning, I'm not going to pick a guy who's going to put up monster numbers for a team that I think will go 6-6, or at least I'm not going to put him as high as somebody else, because I know that winning and making, whether it be the college football playoff or a notable bowl game, those are key things when it comes to winning the Heisman Trophy. I'm going to put up guys that are playing big conferences where they have a chance to make the best plays of the season on the biggest stage. So that makes a big difference as well. So when you hear my list, maybe you're a fan of a team that's kind of middle of the pack, 7-5, 8-4 team, and you think there's a player that should be on the list. Hey, comment below, and by all odds, I probably know the player, and I'll be willing to discuss it with you. But I would say that if you are a fan of a 7-5 team, it's going to be unlikely that your player, who could be a star for your team, is going to win the Heisman Trophy this year. Without further ado, let's get right into it with number 10. And every year, I've got to put a defender on this list. So this year, the choice is clear. It's going to be Derwin James. If you don't know who Derwin James is, I suggest you look up Derwin James. I don't know what you have to do. Look at his highlight tape. Look, whatever you want to do, look him up. He is probably the best player all around in college football at his position this year. He's listed as safety, but you can think of him kind of as a better Jabril Peppers in a way. I don't know that he projects as a linebacker, but neither does Jabril Peppers at the next level. But he can play corner, he can play safety, he can do anything in your secondary, and he is locked down. Florida State has been long known for their tradition of having great defensive backs, and Derwin James is up there with the best ones they've had. Of course, we can't say he's Dion yet, but hey, he's going to light the stage up this year. And remember how I was saying about how players, when they get to play against big teams and big games, that's a great chance to make a Heisman candidacy case? Well, Florida State's going to have some solid games to play all year long, but right off the bat, week one, primetime game, college game day is going to be there. Florida State gets a chance to take on Alabama. So if James can come out there and make some big plays in that game, that will definitely help him at least stay in the conversation for a defensive Heisman, something we have not seen in a long time, since Charles Woodson. Number 9, I have a guy that maybe a lot of you don't know. He is an SEC player, but he's not as well known, and that's Cameron Petway of Auburn. So now, if you haven't been watching Auburn football, and if you're not a big Auburn fan, Auburn has really transitioned into a ground and pound offense, a lot like the offense that I watch at Washington. Now, obviously, at Washington, which is my team, we have a better quarterback when it comes to throwing, and Jake Browning. We'll get to him later. But in Auburn, they are looking to run the ball for 300-plus yards every game, and Petway is going to be the lead back for them this year. Last year was his sophomore year. I have his stats right here. He rushed for 1,224 yards, which is an average of 5.9 yards per carry on his 209 carries, and 7 touchdowns. I expect those numbers to go skyrocketing this year. I really think he's going to have a huge year for Auburn, and I think they can win some ball games this year. The one thing I worry about with Petway is that he did not show at all to be a receiver last year, and he's going to have to add that to his game if he wants to be in the Heisman conversation, and, of course, if he wants to project well into the NFL one day. So that's all I have on Petway for now. He's more of a long shot candidate. It will take some real traction and, probably like a solid 7-0 start for Auburn for him to get really recognized in the Heisman Trophy watch, but I think he should be there. So for number 8, another bruising running back, and this guy's probably the biggest bruiser we have in college football right now in the terms of running back position, and that's Bo Scarborough for Alabama. So probably a lot of you are watching this video that root for Alabama, the very popular team, and those of you are probably saying that to yourself right now that I have him too low. This Scarborough should be higher. And I hear you out on that one, but here's my thing with Bo Scarborough. Since the days of Mark Ingram, Trent Richardson, etc., of course, there's been a lot of backs at the Alabama, since Derrick Henry left, really, and you saw it last year. Nick Saban seems more inclined to cycle through backs. He did it last year. Remember, Bo Scarborough had a great year last year, especially in the college football playoff against us. He ran over Washington in the playoff. But I don't expect him to get 85% of the carries. I expect there to be, a lot of guys cycling in, and it'll be good for him in the long run, keep him healthy. But still, he belongs on this list just because he is an incredible talent at the running back position, plays for a team that's going to finish, in my opinion, top 3 and head to the college football playoff once again. So Scarborough, most of you probably know who he is. You've seen the pictures. You've seen how big he is. He's going to rumble this year. At number 7, I have my boy from Washington, Jake Browning, our quarterback. The one worry I have with Browning, or else I might have him a little bit higher on this list, is that we are looking to run the ball this year. We've returned almost our entire offensive line and both of our 1,000-yard rushers from last year. So it could be a situation where Browning just doesn't put up the numbers that he needs. But the reason why I have Browning on this list is he's established himself already as a solid quarterback. He is now a junior. The Huskies, I believe, we're going to be solid again this year, so that will be a good contributing factor. And if we can make another run to the college football playoff, I just think his numbers are going to show quite the just beautiful efficiency this year. So, I like Browning. I don't know if he'll walk away with this award, but I do think he'll be in the conversation pretty much year long. And number 6, we have the only player player from Florida State. So Florida State is the only school where I have 2 players that are on this list, and that's DeAndre Francois, the quarterback. Now, DeAndre Francois is still, to me, a bit of a project. He has some things to work on, which I think he will. He took a lot of hits last year and really got beat up. But if they can keep him healthy, Florida State's a very good team. And like I said with Derwin James earlier, right off the bat, Francois is going to have a stage to make his case against Alabama. If he can come out there, play well against that defense, and lead Florida State to a win, that will be just, he'll be in the top 5 probably right off the bat just because of the magnitude of that game. And if they can beat that defense, man, he will be on everybody's radar. Number 5 might be my favorite player in college football, not on the Washington Huskies this year. Maybe second favorite behind number 4, but Saquon Barkley of Penn State. This dude is the most talented offensive player in the country, I think, at their position. I would put him a little bit in front of the other guys. The reason why I have him at 5, much like I was saying earlier in the video, I just don't see Penn State putting together the year that they did last year, the Rose Bowl season, and a little at least making it there. I see a couple losses from them, 3 or 4, and I do think that Barkley's going to put up humongous numbers, but I just, we've seen it every single year. Players on teams that lose 3, 4, 5 games, the magnitude of numbers you have to put up, like Lamar Jackson did last year, I think Barkley's going to be incredible, but this has become a quarterback award, so in a way I think he'll be screwed by this. I think that he might have the best numbers in the country this year as a running back. I just think that, if Penn State goes and loses 3, 4 games in the Big Ten, they're going to kind of put him on the back burner. And rightfully so, I don't know. That's up for discussion. But, I have all the respect for Barkley. I think he's a monster. I can't wait to see him play in the NFL. Number 4, I have Darius Geis of LSU. He's a running back, and personally, this might be a little bit of a crazy hot take, but I think Darius Geis, in talent-wise, is right there with Fournette. I mean, these two guys have been running behind the exact same offensive line for the past couple years, and Darius Geis has put up better numbers than Leonard Fournette. He has done it. We've seen it now. Now he gets to take over. He doesn't have to worry about Leonard Fournette. Doesn't have to worry about being a backup. This is his job now. Can't wait to see what he's going to do with it. This, like I said, this is probably my favorite player just because I just think he doesn't get the respect he deserves. And, you know, he's going to be in the SEC, so every week he puts up a good rushing total. That's going to add legitimacy to his campaign. Just the fact that he has to go up against some of the best defenses in college football every single week. So I think he's going to have monster numbers, and I really think that, you know, like I said, my hot take, I always thought Geis was either getting underrated or Leonard Fournette was getting overrated because Geis has been putting up better numbers than Fournette for the past couple of years. And don't tell me it's because Fournette wasn't going all out because he wanted to stay healthy and be a pro. That's not it. Trust me. Number 3, I've got Baker Mayfield of Oklahoma. What is Oklahoma going to do this year? Who knows? But Baker Mayfield, obviously, he's a top talent. We know he had some offseason issues. I think it was a DUI. But I think he'll bounce back, and I don't know exactly how good Oklahoma's going to be, but Baker Mayfield is going to have the Heisman numbers. It's just a matter of if he's going to have the Heisman team. Number 2, Lamar Jackson, last year's Heisman Trophy winner. A lot of people have him way too low, like 6, 5, etc. Listen, I know it's kind of a fad, and it happens every year that the guy who wins the Heisman, for some reason, he's always ranked 6th, 7th. You know, they always hate on the prior winner. Look, Lamar Jackson is a video game. He's a walking video game. He's going to do it again, barring, you know, no injuries. And it's just, you can't rank him that low. We've seen, you know, whether you think he's going to project well in the NFL, most people don't, I don't, doesn't mean he's not going to put up those ridiculous numbers this year at Louisville. Doesn't mean you can rank him 6th or 7th on this list. He is still, you know, what the Heisman Trophy is looking for in terms of statistical, you know, just accomplishments. And number 1, and my pick to win it this year, as much as it pains me to say this as a Pac-12 fan, but a Washington Huskies fan, I'm going with Sam Darnold of USC. That's the trendy pick. I watched this guy. This guy is amazing. His presence in the pocket is incredible. Just the throws he makes, I cannot believe he didn't start the year as a starter last year, watching how good he was against us. Remember, the only loss Washington had last year in the regular season was to Sam Darnold and USC, and he's just poised. He's everything you look for in a quarterback. He's going to be the number 1 pick in my mind, and I just think USC wins the Pac-12 this year, and he's going to be the biggest reason why. And man, that's a school with tons and tons of history and championships, etc. And if they put up a great year and he's the best player on their team with the stats I think he's going to put up, I don't think there's any way they can keep the trophy out of his hands. Anyway, this video has been a little bit long, but I hope you guys enjoyed. Personally, I cannot wait until September so we can get into some college football. See you guys then.